Hello, hello. My name is Josh. This is my beautiful wife, Sarah. Today we're honored to sit down with this man. We're both huge fans of him. He's a rodeo clown. He's an entertainer. He's a very funny comedian, big social media influencer. His name is Dave Meyer, but he goes by Dave Showtime Myers, aka Jacob. That's probably where most people know him from is this Amish Jacob, where he does these great dance videos. I mean, man can dance. Unlike any Amish man, he can dance. And he's got a big TikTok where he's got over 1 million followers. That's called Dave Showtime Meyer, right? And then on TikTok, he has this famous line of "Don't tell a bishop." On Facebook.
Facebook.
So you got a Facebook page with over 600,000 followers. That's called Don't Tell the Bishop. So if you search the internet, just search for Jacob or Amish Jacob, he'll come up. So how you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me here.
You
That's
bet.
quite the introduction.
Yeah, I'm sure I missed something.
Well, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of people, their heads just exploded because they're like, wait a second, that's Jacob?
That's him. Your chin's a little bit more showing, right?
Yeah.
And usually when we see you dancing, right?
Yeah. So are we getting right into that? Just jumping right
We're
into
jumping right into it. Like I feel like there's two people. There's Jacob and then there's Dave.
That's exactly how it is. And this is kind of
Hmm.
almost like a coming out party for Jacob, because you asked before we started recording, have you ever really told the backstory of this? And there's a lot of people that have no idea that Jacob, and there are a lot of people that are really confused by this because they still think that Jacob's my Amish neighbor, and I mean for for all purposes, Jacob is my Amish. Like you said, it's like it's two different people.
Yeah.
I guess just a quick little background story for those that don't know. Did you mention I'm a rodeo clown? I think you
Yeah.
said that. The introduction was so good. I think you covered pretty much everything. But Jacob kind of started as a rodeo clown act. I was doing a few videos before I revealed him as a rodeo clown act. I did some YouTube videos with no face. So the very first, if you go way back, there were a few videos of Jacob. It was in my barn in the dark, and it was just a voice, and it was Jacob the
Hmm.
Amish Weatherman. So that's where it started. So for those that have been fans for a long, long time, Jacob was first created as Jacob the Amish Weatherman. Just some videos in the barn, no face to him. It was just black, and it was just dark screen. It was just
Yeah.
okay. Hello, this is Jacob. It's gonna
Uh-huh.
make dawn outside. I can feel it in my birds, And
See some of those. Did you say they're on YouTube?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is probably like 2012, 2013 when I started doing
Wow.
those. But the first time that Jacob had a face really was, um, I did the Bull Ride Mania finals at the Farm Show Complex in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I needed a spotlight act. And the producer said to me, "Hey, what can you do? It's going to be dark house, spotlight on you. We need just 5, 6, 7 minute act." And I thought, you know what, this Jacob character's kind of been something I've been developing, and there's nothing funnier than an Amish man dancing. So
Yeah.
that was the first time that Jacob danced was in front of 7,000 people at the farm show complex, and the place went nuts. And there were a bunch of Amish there,
Mhm.
um, and they went crazy. We played Amish Paradise as like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Jacob's coming out,
Yeah.
and Jacob put on his magic dancing shoes, and but that's where the bit kind of started, or where it really started to develop because I was in my clowning stuff throughout the whole rodeo, and then I disappeared. Jacob shows up. It's like, hey,
Mhm.
where's Showtime? It's like, "Oh, go use the outhouse." I'm like, well, hey, listen, he's supposed to be out here dancing, so you need to dance. And
Mhm.
yeah, so that's kind of how it got started.
Hmm.
Wow.
Was the name Jacob just something that came up, or is there a reason that the name is Jacob?
No reason at all. Just, I mean, I wanted it to be cliche, but not too cliche. Everybody always
Mhm.
says, oh, Jedediah or Jebediah or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, Jacob's just such a popular name, and I kind of chose to never give him a last name. But recently, I've told people it's Jacob Yoder just because,
Hmm.
like people when they really prod, it's Jacob Yoder. But I think I even said Jacob Stoltzfus before because in our area, Stoltzfus is more common.
Yeah.
But no, there was no really reason behind it. It just I don't know. And you know from your background, it's just fun to say because of that all the J's being CH's, just Jacob.
Yeah.
It just sounds better than you know.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know that I can even say I can, but I don't say the word Jacob because of you. It's always Jacob.
You're
Right.
It's not. Yeah. So
And I can't tell you how many people that I mean, they always, hey, where's Jacob? You know?
yeah.
What did your wife say when you came home and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna be a famous architect"?
You know, I get that question a lot. People ask me all the time about what my wife thinks about it, and it's funny. Like my wife is not a fan of Jacob. She
Really?
does
Mhm.
not find Jacob entertaining. Here's the way I explain it. Most people really like cake, but if you ate cake at every single meal,
Mhm.
you would get sick of cake. I'm a lot like cake.
Yeah.
Like every now and then, it's like, this is great. I love cake. But you
Right.
see me all the time, you're like, okay, I'm sick of cake. Yeah, that's how I explain it. And it's, my wife has to live with Jacob, and she kind of gets sick of the same old shtick over and over again.
Mhm.
Yeah, I never really intended for the Jacob character to blow up quite like it has.
Mhm.
I mean, I've developed other characters over the years that they kind of blew up too, but the Jacob one just I'd say the past 4 or 5 years just exploded. I mean, it was always kind of big, but that character just kind of developed a life of its own. And my wife likes the fact that Jacob helps pay our mortgage and helps pay
Yeah.
the bills. But she's not a big fan. She does have a solid rule. She will not kiss Jacob.
Oh,
I mean, she's in stone. She's got a line because if I go
Mhm.
to do a comedy show somewhere or an appearance as Jacob and
Mhm.
I get the beard glued on and I'm all in costume and I'll go to walk out of the, hey, come here, honey, give me a kiss. Get out of here. I'll talk to you later on. We're doing a whisker rub.
growing up, like, how did you grow up?
How did I grow up? That's a great question. I didn't yet.
You
No, growing up is a trap. Uh,
True.
I,
say that.
I do keep getting older, but I don't plan on
Mhm.
ever growing up because I mean, I literally make a living, clowning around. I'm a rodeo clown, so I don't think I'm ever going to grow up. But that's a great question because there's so many people that don't realize I have Pennsylvania Dutch background. That's where the Jacob character comes from.
Mhm.
I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, still live in Pennsylvania in Lebanon County, which is right beside Lancaster County. And for those of you from Pennsylvania, if you grew up in that area, you think that's the Amish capital of the world. Now, I
Yeah.
realized traveling more, I learned about Holmes County and I learned about the Shipshewana, Indiana, and there's,
Yeah.
different Amish communities, other places, but I always thought Lancaster County, this is where all the Amish are. And so I grew up in Lebanon County. My grandpa on my dad's side was actually Eastern Mennonite. So I have that Mennonite blood in me.
Mhm.
And I come from a large family. I'm the oldest of 10 children. So
Wow.
there's that
Wow.
great, so might as well have been Amish,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I wasn't raised Amish. I should have just said at the start of the video. Hey, I was never Amish. Because I get
There it
that
is.
all the time. Like people like, so are you ex-Amish? No, I never was Amish.
Yeah.
Um, but I did come from that Pennsylvania Dutch background. I've lived around the Amish my whole life, worked with the Amish and around the Amish my whole life. I've had Amish friends, for a
Mhm.
long time. And then more so as I got older and started, I actually rode bulls for almost 10 years. And when I was
Oh, wow.
riding bulls, I came in contact with a pile of ex-Amish boys
Yeah.
and boys that, were Amish from just from Rumspringa. And
Mhm.
so in all aspects of my life, just because of where I grew up, I've been around the Amish. And as I mentioned to you when we were talking a little earlier, I feel like any entertainer, any comedian, the material they use is what they're familiar with. Well, the Amish it's my culture that I'm familiar with, my
Mhm.
background. So that's where the character came from.
Mhm.
It was never like it's it still isn't, never was meant. to be disrespectful to the religion or anything. It's just
Hmm.
the irony of it because when you grow up seeing how they live, and I'm like, you know what? What if I made a character that was the opposite of, they're very, just stoic and stern
Right.
and
Yeah.
not a lot of outward emotion in public. I'm like, what if I had an Amish guy who was just flamboyant and
Yeah.
wild and crazy and over
Yeah.
the top? Because it makes you smile when seeing it.
Yeah.
Because when you
Yeah.
see Amish, I mean, if they do wave, it's just but then you
Hmm.
got Jacob, hey, hello,
Yeah.
in my mind, just the comedic value, that's where it came from. Just,
Yeah.
this is what I was familiar with.
Yeah. And then you see an Amish man trying to dance and it just not
Yeah.
happening.
Right,
It's you.
right. And that's like the punchline that I've been doing this act at rodeos for 10 years now, and I'm so sick of it because I want people to know I'm not a one-trick pony. I have so much more than just Jacob. But people love it so much that
Hmm.
they'll come to a rodeo just to see my Jacob act. And I've really had to try and reinvent it and do it different ways because, like you said, they want to see an Amish man dance. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, what can I do different to do this act and have the same punchline of an Amish man dancing? Because the visual of it in they buy into the character that this is really an Amish guy, and that's what
Yeah.
makes it funny.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. You were at the Ashland County Fair. One
Yeah.
of our friends was there, and I forget. I think he's 4 years old. Their kid on the way home, he's like, I love his shoes. Like those were really cool because he made it look like your shoes make you do stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Mm.
that's what so actually it's funny you mentioned that. That was the original act. And I just started doing that again last year and this year. So the first time I ever did the Jacob act, they were magic dancing shoes
Oh, really?
because I wanted people to realize that, I take it for granted growing up and dealing with the Amish so much. In my mind, well, they know the Amish aren't allowed to dance.
Yeah.
But when you go to areas that the people aren't familiar with the Amish, they might miss the joke. Like, okay, so it's an Amish guy dancing. Okay, well,
Mhm.
so that's why I thought, you know what, I'm gonna make sure they realize that when I come out as Jacob and they say, okay, well, Showtime's supposed to be dancing, go ahead and dance. And I see, well, I'm Amish, I'm not allowed to dance. It don't matter what you say, you can't make me dance. And that's where I came up with the idea with the magic shoes. Like, well,
Mm.
hey, we've got these magic shoes, you put them on, then you're not really dancing. They control your body. So that's kind of what
Yeah.
I did for the first act. And then over the years, it kind of morphed and changed into something else. And now I brought that back last year and this year. I just changed it a little bit. What I did was I did a delivery, like I was delivering these magic shoes for Showtime. And
Mm.
then, well, of course, he's not around. Well, you need to put them on. And then I just used different songs and, but yeah, I really like that version of it
That's good.
because it's the whole spin of like, the Amish aren't allowed to dance,
Yeah.
but they put those shoes on and
Make some
makes them
dance.
dance.
Yeah. And you can't dance either. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's real life.
yeah. And that's what's funny is you mentioned people thought you were ex-Amish. I did. But the first ones I remember was the Weatherman, or I would say Jacob and Levi.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And was the Ray, Beard, and everything. And I was just a couple ex-Amish kids. And then there was this trend going around where people would drive down the road, they would get out of the car and dance beside the car. You did that, and I'm watching this, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. No ex-Amish person can dance like that. And so now I started digging into like, who's this guy? And that's where I realized your real name and stuff. But you're just that good at your accent. Like, we have that accent, but you have it too when you're Jacob. So it's really easy for people to believe you're just that good.
Well, I'm
That's
glad you
awesome.
mentioned the accent because that's something that I get hate about all the time.
Really.
And I've never really addressed it on like a public setting like this. People have to understand that the accent I'm doing is a regional thing. It's not
Hmm.
so like I get comments and messages from people all the time like, "Oh, you don't even sound Amish. You sound like you're Irish." And it's not what the Amish sound. I live around the Amish. They don't sound like that. okay, where you live, they don't sound like that.
Right.
Yeah.
People sound different depending where they live. You
Absolutely.
go to Georgia, they don't sound like they're from Pennsylvania. I'm from Pennsylvania. I've got a Yankee accent. When I do rodeos down south, they know I'm not from that area.
Yeah.
Just they know.
Yeah.
But in our area, it's a very heavy Pennsylvania Dutch accent. So the Jacob character is that accent, but intensified. That's
Mm-hmm.
what makes it funny. That's comedy.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
obviously it's exaggerated, but at the same time, I think in our area there's some of the horse and buggy, like Joe Wanger Mennonite, the horse and buggy man, some of the really conservative ones. They're more Dutchified than the Amish. And that's
Yeah,
kind of
I
like
think
the
so.
accent that Jacob does.
Yeah.
It's that really Dutchified, um, accent, and it's just kind of funny how so many people are like, oh, it doesn't even sound like a Pennsylvania Dutch accent.
Yeah.
Come on into Lebanon County.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the hate, I'm curious about that. Are people just offended? Like, are they trying to stand up for the Amish, maybe, or just they're just bored? They don't know what else to do, so they're like, "Hey, let's go and get offended about somebody."
You know, it really is sad. I feel bad for those people. I think it's a little bit of both. It is very, 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 very rarely Amish or anyone that's ever uh, been associated with the Amish at all, because
Hmm.
you're both ex-Amish,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
You know that the Amish, they're still human beings. They have a sense of humor.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I think people forget that you're real people. And the Amish, it's a group of people, and they still like to laugh and have a good time. And my biggest fans are the Amish.
That's
And
true.
I get so much hate from people that don't even know any Amish. And they're keyboard warriors. They're in their
Yeah.
mom's basement and they're like, I wish you'd get hit by a truck. You're a waste of space. You're a horrible person. And it's all
Wow.
day, every day. And yeah, I mean, I try to just let it roll like water off a duck's back, because when I
Yeah.
first started getting a lot of it, it bothered me because I mean, as an entertainer, I think it's my personality. I want people I want people to like what I'm doing,
Mhm.
and I
Yeah.
want them to be entertained. And I also do this as an outreach. I mean, I'm a Christian. I want to let my light shine wherever I can, and
Hmm.
I want to make people smile and be a little light in a dark world. Like there's
Absolutely.
all kinds of horrible things going on in this world, so I want
Yeah.
to be just a little light in that dark world.
Mhm.
You have to pray for those people because it
Absolutely.
makes you wonder what's going on in their life. They're so miserable that they just want to
Yeah.
lash out at others.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody watching this that um, think this is so disrespectful, I challenge them to talk to their Amish friends that they all
Yeah.
tell me they have.
Yeah.
It's
Because they're
ridiculous.
they're all the ones that say, like, oh well, the Amish I know, they're offended by your videos. They hate it.
Mhm.
Well, why do they keep hiring me to entertain for them then?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I entertain for the Amish, and I do this act when the stands are full of Amish. And
Hmm.
now, I don't want people to think, I don't want to sit up here on a high horse. I don't want people to think that there's never been an Amish person offended.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do, someone's going to be offended by something.
Right.
Yeah.
But the best analogy I've found, you know who Jeff Foxworthy is?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Jeff Foxworthy has made a career for years and years and years. He's made millions and millions of dollars. And all of his material, all of his jokes are about what?
Rednecks.
Rednecks.
Hmm.
Who goes to his shows?
Rednecks.
Rednecks.
Rednecks. Who loves Jeff Foxworthy? Rednecks, because they
Yeah.
get the jokes.
Yeah.
My Jacob character is just the Amish Jeff Foxworthy. It's the same type of thing. It's not degrading the Amish. It's making jokes that they get. And they
Hmm.
all kind of live through Jacob. And the whole don't tell the bishop thing, it's just people think it's so offensive. It's not meant to be disrespectful and offensive. It's a character.
Yeah.
And it's just real life comedy. And I think
Yeah.
that's why the Amish, the Mennonites, the ex-Amish, that's why they love it so much, because they get it.
Mhm.
The most hate that I get is from the people that aren't familiar with the culture.
Yeah.
They want to be offended on behalf of the Amish.
Yeah.
They want to be the voice of the Amish, and they've never
Mm.
spoke to an Amish person in their life. And
That's
that's what
crazy.
frustrates me is
Mhm.
these people that lash out and are the most vocal, they don't know anything about the Amish. But
Yeah.
they're gonna speak up for them. Like, how dare you disrespect the Amish? You know, this is disrespectful. They can't see this. Meanwhile, the Amish are in their barn, watching on the phone. Check this. Don't tell the bishop.
I shouldn't be offended. My dad's
I was gonna say, people know that. Have you talked about that on your channel?
about
Your dad being a
yeah.
bishop? So I just found that out, and I think that's hysterical. It made me laugh that your dad actually is the bishop,
He actually is one of
and
them. Yep.
you've got siblings that are still Amish, and
Mm-hmm.
and yet you've got a brother who knows who I am, watches my videos, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not coming here with pitchforks and torches trying to burn the place down.
I'm sure the only some. I mean, you are so you say you get hired by the Amish. These are obviously like New Order Amish.
Yeah, I mean, so I'd say the past probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 years, I've been doing Christmas banquets.
Okay.
And the first guy that ever hired me was an Amish guy. He contacted me and said, "Hey, does Jacob do Christmas banquets?" I was like, sure.
Now he does.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
And you know how it is amongst the Amish. Like, you want news to travel, just get in the
Yeah.
Amish community, and it's quicker than the internet,
I don't know how it happens, but it does.
It does, yeah. And so I did a Christmas party for it was an Amish man, and a lot of the employees were Amish, and then they had drivers that were English, and
Mhm.
every year I do more and more Christmas banquets, and a lot of times what it is, it'll be a company that is owned by, maybe there's multiple owners and one of them's Amish, some of them are ex-Amish, some of them are Mennonite, or they've got a bunch of Amish employees.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I see is owners reaching out to me, and they have Amish employees that are big fans of Jacob.
Mm.
So they'll reach out like, "Hey, we've got some Amish guys that work for us, and they're all the time acting like you." It's a lot of construction companies. They build sheds, they build houses, they build pallets, whatever. And it's a lot of the Amish employees. It's like they're all day walking around. What's the issue? We got a situation. See, and they can do Jacob better than I can do Jacob.
Well,
So yeah, so I do a lot of entertainment for Amish owned businesses and a lot of Amish employees.
It's crazy. So when you do a Christmas banquet, you're basically just a comedian. Like you go and
Yeah, yeah. So what I do is so for those that don't know how this works, when I'm Jacob, I'm Jacob.
yeah.
So it's just like an actor.
Mhm.
Just take your favorite movie, and when that person is that character, when you're watching the movie, you're not seeing that person, you're seeing that character.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So when I'm Jacob, I'm no longer Showtime. I'm no longer Dave. I'm Jacob. So when I do these Christmas banquets, I show up in character as Jacob. I'm there the whole time as Jacob, and I don't break character. But yeah. So what I like to do, it's a little different than just stand up comedian. I'm not just a stand up comic. I really like crowd interaction. That's my strength from being a rodeo clown. I
Mhm.
feel like what I'm best at is the crowd work. So I incorporated that into my entertainment as Jacob.
Mhm.
So if I get hired to entertain at a Christmas banquet, I like to show up while they're eating. So if they have a banquet hall or whatever, I just like to crash the party and come in and then mingle from table to table
Okay.
for multiple reasons. One, it lightens the mood.
Mhm.
So, a lot of times there's this big group of people you're eating, and sometimes you have your little cliques or whatever. Well, if Jacob comes busting in the door, "Hey, it's Paul, it's the pie," and just starts going table to table, and I'm all the time like I can pick couples out. Like, just for instance, if I come in and you're married,
Mhm.
"Hey, what's your name?" "Hey, I'm Jacob. Nice to meet you. Who are you?"
Josh.
"Josh." "Who's this name?"
Oh, this is my wife.
"Get out. She's out of your league. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
"You must be rich."
I got something going on.
"Who's this?" "I see Josh."
That's Josh.
"Okay, my neighbor spoke to you on the phone."
Yeah, your
"He
neighbor.
told me about you. He said you jumped the fence."
Yeah, the bend was kind of down, so I just kind of just walked through.
That's what I do every day. You know what I mean?
Me
You
and-
leave the gate open.
Me and him kind of grew up together.
And this
No.
is my wife, Sarah.
Get out! Holy! Woo! She's out of your league. Ah, geez, how long you been married? So just stuff like that,
Yeah.
and well, then you told me your name, so I know your name, and so I can
Mhm.
kind of go around and meet the people. Well, then when it's time for my act, well, I've kind of connected with the people already, and I really like to do that to set the mood, and it introduces the character. So if
Mhm.
I come in there and these people don't know me, just doing stand-up comedy, just walking up there as Jacob, if they've never seen my videos, have no idea who the character is, they're gonna at first like what's going on? But if I
Yeah.
spent time to develop the character and everybody kind of gets to meet Jacob, it's a lot easier to do my bit then.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works. I set it up with roaming comedy, and then I'll do, and even my stand up, it involves the crowd the whole time, and
Yeah.
it's a blast. I'd never really planned on doing that, but I really enjoy it. It's a nice change of just doing rodeos. It's
Mhm.
nice to get up there and do that, entertain for
Yeah,
a crowd like that.
that's really awesome. I wanted to ask if you would want to mention you have if you're local, you're going to be in Millersburg. When is that?
Yeah, 27th and 28th, I think. Does that
Yeah.
sound nice?
Yeah, I think it is.
Um, yes, 27th and 28th. I'll be in Millersburg, Ohio. Rafter Rodeo. For those of you that are rodeo fans, it's an IPRA, APRA show. That's the International Professional Rodeo Association and the American Professional Rodeo Association. So there'll be cowboys and cowgirls there from the IPRA and the APRA. I'm just bringing up the flyer. So I don't know what the location. It's a covered arena. I just have an address. It's 8880 Ohio 39, Millersburg, Ohio, October 27th and 28th. And it says rodeo starts at 7 o'clock, gates open at 5 o'clock. Dave Showtime Meyer is going to be there. That's me.
Are you there as Jacob and Dave? Or are you just
So I guess you have to come see how that works out.
We will. We'll be there.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
you'll have all the rodeo events will be there. So I'll be there as Showtime. Like when I clown a rodeo, I'm there as Showtime. But when I go to areas like that, if I don't do Jacob,
Yeah,
that's when I get run out of town.
there's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of
There's a
people
lot
there.
of people coming to see
Yeah.
Jacob. So then you'll get to see, if you come to the rodeo there at Millersburg, you'll get to see kind of how that all works, how the character fits in to a rodeo. And when
Mhm.
I do comedy shows and Christmas banquets, like I mentioned, I show up as Jacob. I'm in character the whole time. It's not like that at a rodeo. At the rodeo, if Jacob shows up, it's for a 5 to 7, 8 minute act. It's just I disappear, get changed, and then Jacob
Come
comes
back.
out, does the Jacob act, and
Mm.
change again, then back into my clowning stuff. And so yeah, so if you are from Millersburg area, you want to come out, gates open at 5 o'clock, show starts at 7, you get to see me and might even get to see Jacob there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you don't like rodeos, just come for him. I mean, it's worth it. Trust me.
So I'm glad you mentioned that because that's one thing about what I do as a rodeo clown. Uh, I like to I like to tell people that my style of clowning is a little different than what you might be used to. I like to do that crowd interaction, and I like to make new fans of the sport. Like
Hmm.
that's my goal is being a rodeo
Mhm.
clown. I don't want to just stand out there and tell jokes and see the same thing you've seen. I
Yeah.
want to be I want to bring the energy, and I want to make rodeo fun and exciting because it's a sport I love. And there's a lot of people that think like, ah, I've been to rodeo, I'm not really into it. Try it again. Just because
Yeah.
you went one time doesn't mean you won't like going to rodeo. And I like to try and gain new fans for the sport.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can do that at each show I'm at.
You ever get big movie producers or somebody to come? They want Jacob. They want some kind of. They want to make a movie or something.
So I have had some different offers. Nothing that's ever panned out.
Yeah.
I there's been quite a few over the years. I kind of forgot about them because so many things, but just you bringing it up, we did have a I guess she was an agent reach out to me about doing a reality show,
Mm.
and I was gonna be um kind of like a host, and they were going to shoot it in Montana, and it was going to be kind of like the Bachelor type of deal, but they wanted like ex-Amish to come, and they were going to like live on a ranch and work this ranch.
Mm,
Um, but I don't know whatever happened with it. We went back and forth a little bit. I talked to the lady for a long time on the phone,
yeah,
and then I don't know if it never happened. I don't know. I don't know. But
yeah.
there have been some offers like that. I was contacted. I don't know if you ever heard of the show Wipeout. It's a TV show that I don't know if it's still on now, new episodes, but it used to be. It was like an obstacle course type thing.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Yeah, and I
yeah.
was contacted him to do that, but
Oh,
again, it was like, you know, yeah, if you win, you get all this money.
yeah.
But it was pretty much like, hey, we'd love to have you. You are the person we want for this. You
Mm,
need to come and set it apart. We're going to shoot this amount of time. Well, I had shows booked all
yeah.
during this time. And so, I mean, I've had some offers, but nothing
Mm.
major that's ever panned out.
I could see that be fun, doing Amish guy doing those, and
Yeah.
then down the water. And yeah, that'd be fun. So you're pretty busy. I'm curious, how do you balance life if you're like, are you booked constantly traveling all over the place?
Yeah, it's tough. My schedule is crazy, and I don't want to complain because God has really blessed my career, but this
Mm-hmm.
past year or this current year has been my busiest to date.
No,
Um, I it's amazing how God works. In some ways, and this is gonna sound crazy, but hear me out. COVID actually helped the rodeo industry because when COVID happened and everything was shutting down,
mm-hmm.
rodeos that were outdoors were still happening.
Oh, okay.
So
Makes sense.
people that wanted to go do something, guess what? They could go to a rodeo. It was at a
Yeah,
county fair. It was outside.
yeah.
Well, these little county fairs that maybe didn't do a rodeo before or hadn't done a rodeo in, 15, 20 years, they're like, hey, did you see the crowd that was at that rodeo? We should do a rodeo. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what happened. Now it's good and bad. It's good because we gained all those new rodeo fans. It's bad because there are only so many contestants. They're like, let's just use my area, the Northeast. Let's say the Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many bull riders. There's only so many barrel racers. There's
Mm-hmm.
only so many ropers. There's only so many rodeo clowns. There's only so many announcers. Well, if you're having all these new rodeos pop up, you're pulling out of that same pool of your contestants and your
Yeah,
personnel.
yeah.
So the supply and demand has just gone through the roof. And if you're good at what you do, you're going to be busy. So God's really blessed my career as far as this year has been crazy. I went through a period throughout the month of July into August where I had like 32 shows in 38 days. And it was literally just show to show to show to show.
Yeah.
So I got to give the credit to my wife. We have been married. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary
Oh wow.
in August. And everybody always says, oh, wow, you've been married 20 years. Like, how'd you make that work? I'm on the road so much that I've only been home for like a year or two. So that's
So
how it
for two
works.
years for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going all the time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, my wife is awesome. She's a superhero and she makes everything. She keeps the work with the wheels spinning while I'm gone, and while I'm
Mm.
on the road, she takes care of our kids and takes care of the horses, takes care of the house, and but that's the biggest struggle is balancing the
Mhm.
schedule.
What about the dancing though? Like, did that doesn't just come natural? Did you take classes or you just
So
get that good?
yes and no. I'll be honest with you. I've never had any lessons, never took any
Really?
classes, and it's really funny because I come from a conservative background, and
Yeah.
it's not like anybody in my family dances.
Mm.
And my dad has told me that many times that people will ask him, like, "All right, so where'd your boy learn to dance? It obviously wasn't from you, you know."
Yeah.
And my dad's like, I guess it's from his mother. I don't know, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, I just that was one of those things that I wouldn't even say that I really even danced before I started clowning. It wasn't one of those things that, dgrowing up in dance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know how it is growing up Amish. Like
Yeah.
that's common. Like
Yeah.
you don't do any kind of dancing. And
Yeah.
so I never really did any dancing, and I don't know. Um, I guess just like anything else, in as being a rodeo clown, you impersonate things, and that's really what I did. Like
Mm,
for Jacob, YouTube videos and just watching stuff and just trying to mimic it. And I like
yeah,
to tell everybody, I don't want people to think that I'm this amazing dancer. I like to consider myself an entertaining dancer. Like I'm not a polished, trained dancer. Anyone that's a trained dancer, they're gonna watch me dance and be like, that guy doesn't know how to dance. But it's
yeah,
entertaining. It's almost
yeah.
like a train wreck. You know what I mean? It's like a car that pulls onto the train tracks and a train's coming. Like you want to look away, but you can't. You're
Yeah,
like, I don't want to see this, but this I kind of do want to see this.
yeah,
And that's kind of why I think it works for the Jacob character
Mhm.
because it's over the top. It's
yeah,
the moves I do are kind of exaggerated and just the whole, throwing the hips around. It's
yeah,
like it's funny because the Amish would never do that.
Right.
yeah.
I probably should learn some new dance moves to try and be better, but I found what works and it's
Yeah,
entertaining and I just, try and be entertaining dancing.
I don't think you have to get better.
Yeah,
It
you're
makes
good.
sense now. Like you actually don't want to be like right on the beat or whatever because it wouldn't be as funny.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I do, I guess that's the only thing that comes in that's somewhat a natural talent or a God-given gift is,
hmm,
I've always loved music and,
yeah,
I can, you have to have some rhythm to be able to
Mhm.
do that, or
Mhm.
otherwise it's gonna just look like a total train wreck. So I have to have enough rhythm in my mind and be able to just let the music take control but at the same time exaggerate the moves and be kind of over the top and and
hmm,
and do the goofy, make the faces because faces make a big part of it.
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, I just like to be entertaining when it comes to dancing.
hmm. And you do actual stand up too, then?
Yeah, that's a very new thing.
Hmm.
So I don't consider myself a stand-up comedian, but I guess I am now because I've done some gigs. That is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
I
And
imagine it would be.
listen, if there's any comedians watching this, I feel your pain because
Hmm.
you can put me in front of 20,000 people in my clowning stuff and put a microphone on me, and I'm not nervous at all. I love the spotlight. Like I live for that. I thrive off of that, and I
Hmm.
can entertain. And it's like that. It's almost addictive. Like I've never drank or done any drugs or anything like that,
Yeah.
but it's almost like a high that you get off of that. The crowd, you feel the crowd's energy, and I feed off of that. And if I'm working a show and the crowd's really into it, it's like I got them eating out of my hand. And it's just the confidence you have.
Yeah.
But doing stand up, it's totally different. I'm scared to death doing it because it's like so much of what I do, I just shoot from the hip. I make it up as I go. And I
Hmm.
feed off of what's happening in the crowd. And I can make a bit out of just, I see somebody, boom, I've got a bit right there.
Yeah.
When you don't stand up, it's like they're sitting there watching you like, okay, funny man, tell them jokes.
Right.
Dance monkey, and it's a totally different feel.
Yeah.
So I'll get better at it. It's just when people want to hire me for stand up, I tell them like I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. My crowd work is amazing. I'm not saying this to brag, but my crowd work's amazing.
Hmm.
My material, not so great, It's like so it's one of those things I need to work on as far as you have comics that have really strong material
Yeah.
and you have comics that have really good presentation. And I'm one of
Hmm.
those that when I do the stand up, I do it as Jacob. So I've got a really strong character. I've
Yeah.
got good presentation. It's just I need to work on a bit. Now, what I've done, my strong point is we talked about this earlier, the Amish 12 Days of Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do that at banquets, at Christmas banquets and stuff. And that is, I mean, I'll have people crying, they're laughing so hard because I'm interacting with the crowd.
Yeah.
So I need to come up with some more bits like that
Yeah.
because that's what I'm really good at. I'm not that good at standing there with a mic
Mhm.
and just telling jokes.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The first stand-up show that I ever did, I wrote several pages of material. I rehearsed this. When I was driving, I spent hours just rehearsing it, and I went over this. And the thing is, like, it was all jokes as if Jacob's telling it. So it's like from the Amish perspective.
Hmm.
Well, I was told there was going to be a lot of Amish and ex-Amish there. There were not. It was in Indianapolis.
Hmm.
It was a company banquet, and it was at um was it the Hampton Inn or the Hilton? I don't remember, but it was in a banquet hall. It was really fancy, really nice. There was one ex-Amish guy there.
Oh
And the
wow.
rest were like dealers from like all over the place. They were
Yeah.
English, and I'm doing all this Amish material, and they're just kind of like, you know, I'm sweating. I'm like, okay, well, anyways, what time is it? Is it time to get out of here? So now, of course, they all said like, "Oh, that was great. You're the funniest guy we've ever seen." But
Hmm.
I didn't feel that because I was second guessing myself.
Hmm.
But then what I did, I just did what I was comfortable with. I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I kind of threw it out the window, and I was just like, "Who needs some volunteers?" And I brought some people up and just started making a bit out of. I was gonna teach you some Amish exercises. Gonna teach.
Hmm.
Okay, how do you do milking the cow? And churning butter and going down and because I can make a bit out of that, and that's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just some of the jokes, they were geared more towards people that were really familiar with the Amish.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
hardest part is like writing material as Jacob, but
Hmm.
yet that it's broad enough that everybody will get it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
What is the craziest thing anybody's ever like said to you, or like when you're at rodeo, somebody come up to you and just like dump on
Um,
you or anything ever like that?
so if we're talking at a rodeo, I've had all kinds of crazy stuff happen because, um, see, that's the thing is when I'm Showtime, that's a character too. Like I'm
Mhm.
just Dave right now.
Right.
People
Yeah.
think what they see in an arena, I'm not like that all the time. That's a character that I'm playing. When they see Jacob, that's just a character I'm playing. Well, Showtime is literally a character, it's kind of where the name came from. Showtime.
Hmm.
It's like when it's Showtime, you gotta turn
Oh,
on, you flip a switch and it's Showtime.
yeah.
I'm just Dave every other day. I'm not walking around all the time just and dancing everywhere. But people think that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People come up to my wife all the time and they'll be like, I bet you laugh nonstop. You are so lucky to be married to Showtime. You probably laugh. And my wife's just like, oh yeah, I laugh nonstop. I mean, people think in their mind that I'm like that 24/7. Well,
Hmm.
it's Showtime. I turn the switch on and so that being said, when I'm in character like that, I mean, I'm going to say some things that I might not say to people to their face, like
Mhm.
just in the public.
Hmm.
I do a
Yeah.
lot of stuff interacting with the crowd, and um, I mimic people a lot. I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't tell a lot of people this, but here's
Yeah.
some juicy,
There's
juicy
just
gossip.
nobody watching,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
us
it's
three.
just the two of you. So talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
My biggest influence as a rodeo clown was not a rodeo clown. Flip Rasmussen, he's the goat. He is the entertainer that I respected the most and kind of molded my act after. But when everybody asks like, "Oh, who was your biggest influence?" It wasn't a rodeo clown. It was a mime, and I will never forget. This was, I don't know, almost 20, like 18 years ago, probably. We went to SeaWorld and I had watched this mime at SeaWorld. And this guy was so captivating and never said a word. He was
Mm.
larger than life. He was just, mimicking people. And there'd be a lady
Hmm.
walking with a bag and he'd be right behind her. And I watched this guy and I couldn't take my eyes off of him. I'm like, this guy's a genius. And I'm telling my wife my wife didn't think it was as entertaining as I did. And I was so captivated by this guy that here he is. And I'm looking around and I'm watching other people just watch this guy. And it was before the show started. So, say that the show started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, this is at, 1:40 or whatever. People were coming in
Hmm.
and sitting down,
Yeah.
and he didn't have a mic on, never said a word, but he was so funny. And I took that and I use a lot of that in my entertaining as a rodeo clown.
Mm.
Um, So again, you ask about crazy things. So I'll never forget. So I mimic a lot of people. And I do that during the show. I do it before the show. I'll see people pushing a stroller and I'll walk behind them. If they're on their phone, I'll walk behind like, and
Yeah.
there was this guy. He was, I'd say, well, I guess hopefully he was at least 21 because he had obviously been drinking. But he was a
Yeah.
younger guy, probably early 20s, and he was there with his girlfriend, and he was wearing a cutoff t-shirt. And the cutoff shirt, it wasn't like you just cut the sleeves off. It was cut from here, like down to here.
Yep.
And I think it was during the barrel racing, but he was walking around. Well, I walked up from the crowd and was just like, I lift things up and I put them down, and people were all laughing, and his
Yeah.
buddies are all laughing. This guy got mad. I mean, so
Mm.
mad.
Oh,
And it started like swearing at me and stuff. And I was just like, well, hey, we're just joking around. Like, easy, lay off the steroids, buddy. That didn't calm him down any. So it was one of those where it's like his girlfriend is like holding him back. Don't do it. Don't. He's gonna hit you. You need to stop.
Oh
I'm
wow.
like, he's not gonna hit me. I will not. And people are watching this, so I
Uh-huh.
just walked away then eventually because this doesn't do any good. Like
Yeah.
me, you're not gonna hurt my feelings by calling me names. Like,
Yeah.
I do this for a living. You're not gonna make me cry by calling me names. Do you
Mhm.
think I'm gonna stop? Like, no, I'm gonna prod the bear more and poke the bear more. So the angrier he got, the more people were laughing around. And it's
Yeah.
like, hey, steroids will do that to you, buddy. Lay off of that. So that was pretty wild because that was the closest I've been to I mean, he was like veins popping out, like coming at me. He had
Right.
guys hanging all over him, and I was just like, "Hey, thanks for coming." But yeah, I did have a lady one time. I got offended by my Amish act. That was in Valparaiso, Indiana.
Mhm.
That was like early on, I'd say like 2014 probably. And after the show, I always try and make myself available for pictures and autographs. I feel like if people spend their hard-earned money to come to a show, the least I can do is give them my time afterwards. So I
mm-hmm.
always try and take time to sign autographs and smile for pictures. And I'll never forget this because my wife was with me and my oldest son was with me because he was just young then. And this lady came down and started yelling at me in front of there's all these kids here. I'm like smiling for
Mhm.
pictures and stuff. And she's like, I can't believe you would disgrace the Amish and disrespect the Amish like that. And there were Amish here and you had the audacity to do that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. They were laughing hysterically. Like I watched the Amish, like, but this lady
Mhm.
was screaming at me, and I was just like, hey, ma'am, I'm sorry you feel that way, but please don't do this in front of these kids. If you want to yell at me, wait till there's not a bunch of people around here.
Yeah.
I'm like smiling for pictures and stuff.
Mm,
And this lady was just wouldn't quit, and she was just calling me names and screaming at me. I'm
wow.
like,
Mm.
talk about just total opposite. Like you're trying to say that I'm being
Mm-hmm.
disrespectful. I can't believe I act that way.
Oh,
And then the
she's
way she's acting in
Yeah.
front of all these kids
That,
standing.
yeah.
So yeah, I see a lot of crazy stuff like that. I mean, you get around rodeo and you see all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm sure I've got wild stories I just can't think of right now
yeah.
because they
Yeah.
they run together, but I've seen some, crazy wild stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, was there anything else like as growing up? Was there anything that happened that you would like to share, or like I don't know, like a fun memory you have of growing up, or
A fun memory I have of growing up.
like I'm curious how much your parents are an influence or how much they support you in what you do.
Yeah.
So well, I guess kind of maybe a little bit background that would help. Maybe they'll be like, oh, that's why he is the way that he is. So I went to public school until I was a freshman in high school, and then I was homeschooled.
Mhm.
So ninth, 10th, 11th, and 12th, I was homeschooled. And then, as I mentioned before, I'm the oldest. The younger siblings, they were just homeschooled all the time. Um, but I absolutely love the fact that I was homeschooled.
Mhm.
Which I like to bring that up because there are a lot of people that think like, oh, homeschoolers, they never amount to anything.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, if you don't want to grow up and wear clown makeup and dance in front of people for a living, stay in school. Don't become homeschooled because you might end up like this.
Sure.
But it's just funny how people think homeschoolers are secluded and sheltered and they don't know how to, they don't know how to talk to people.
Mhm.
And now I make a living talking to thousands upon thousands, millions of people
Hmm.
on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, my parents, they've seen me perform several times. A lot of times, one of my favorite shows is the Bull Mania Finals in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I only live a half hour from there. It's a farm show complex. So I'll I've got tickets for them to come see me there a few times, and they've seen me at the Lebanon area fair, which is like my local county fair.
Yeah.
But it's like anything else. People ask about like my wife and family traveling with me. 99% of the time, I'm not near my house. I
Yeah.
travel all over the country doing this. So it's not like my parents are groupies and drive all around and see me. But
Right.
but they do. I mean, they've seen me perform. They've seen me do the Jacob stuff. And my dad, he hears about it all the time because my dad actually runs a feed mill and they have a lot of conservative customers. They have a lot of Amish customers, a lot of Mennonite customers, and I think more so than my mom, just because my dad sees all these people. My dad's almost becoming a celebrity because he's Jacob's dad or Showtime's dad. So my dad will go to like some of these different conventions and to represent the feed mill and
Hmm.
some of these like farm shows and those type of things and people come up and be like, "You're Jacob's dad, aren't you?"
Did they recognize just by
Well,
looking at him, or did they?
no, no, just because it's like different people, like you know how those Amish are. They like to do
Word gets
background,
around.
yeah, they like to do background checks. So,
Uh,
it's more of just word of mouth. They just find out,
hmm.
that, and then people talking to, hey, you're Mark's boy? Meyers, your dad? Well, then they tell
Okay.
somebody else, and amongst the farming community, the word kind of gets
Yeah.
around. But yeah, it's just
Yeah.
kind of funny. My dad he'll text me or call me sometime, and he'll be like, "Hey, so and so stopped in at the mill today, and they were asking about Jacob." And
Mm, yeah.
That's good.
So where do you get the hat? I mean, this is exactly the hat I used to wear.
that's the
Not this
real
hat,
deal.
but
That's
yeah,
the
you
real
just
deal.
show up in Amish place and buy a hat, huh?
So the first, this is the second one, but
Okay.
the first straw hat that I bought was a pretty awkward experience because I walked into a little store in Myerstown, Pennsylvania called Fisher's, and it's
Mm,
it's in an Amish house. And you walk in there, and they're all Amish that
yeah.
run that store. And I walked in my English clothes, and there's a girl at the counter there. Hello, can I help you? And I'm just looking around, got my hands in my pockets, just walking around, and I couldn't find the hats anywhere. So then I go and said, "Hey, I was looking for a hat," and she looked at me like I had 8 eyes. A hat, and I was like, I was looking for a straw hat, an Amish hat, and she says, "Okay, they're in the basement." Yeah, the basement. And I was like, okay. And then so as I'm following her, she opens it. And we start going down the cellar stairs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Down
So
there with the homemade wine.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I get down there and there's hats. The whole basement is just full of hats.
Wow.
It's like secret. You have to ask for them.
Wow.
And she's just kind of looking at me, and I'm like, and she's just staring at me, and I'm like, oh, it's for my Amish neighbor. And she knew what size he needs. And I said, well, believe it or not, we have about the same head size. So I'll just kind of try them on and see. So I'm walking around there trying on hats. And yeah, so I bought a hat there and Walking out, I'm like, you know, because you're ex-Amish, you know that like as soon as she saw anybody, she's like, you're not gonna believe this. This
Yeah.
English boy came in here and he bought a hat. I don't think it was for his Amish neighbor.
Yeah.
You probably talking to town.
Yeah. And it's funny because you know this, but a lot of people that might not have the Amish background might not know. You can kind of tell where somebody's from by the hat. Like this
Yeah.
this would be from this area as much as, and I know even more so like out there in Indiana, they're totally different
Oh
hats.
yeah.
And you know, they make fun of me when I go out there, like they call it a
Mm.
yellow hat. Like what's with that
Oh
yellow
yeah.
hat, you know?
Mm.
But
This looks more like just this working tree Amish.
Yeah, it does. And then the runner here would this would suggest the width of the we call it a runner.
yeah,
That would suggest a young man that's not married.
right.
Because I think it's when you're married, they get wider,
Mhm.
and then the preachers or bishop get even wider. They need a little bit more shape.
Yeah.
Sign they don't
Yeah.
have that fan on them.
Yeah.
So
They
do
need a sombrero on there.
yeah, they get more protection, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And actually my the other one that I have is just in rough shape, but the runner is actually electrical tape.
Really?
Instead of a ribbon, I have,
Oh, just the that
and I got that idea because I had seen that some different guys their hat that they use when they were milking cows. You know, as it would get smaller and smaller, you know, they'd wear that one to milk cows
Yeah.
and run into a bunch of them. They'd have electrical tape, and I'm like, oh, Jacob needs electrical tape.
Yeah.
I think this one has a root there.
Yeah, it's in getting in rough shape. I'm soon have to go see my girlfriend at Fisher's there. I should have Jacob go in next time.
That'd be funny.
All you gotta do is tell people what size hat you wear, and you'll get a bunch in the mail.
That's what it is. Yeah. They'll be
Finding them.
all the ladies will be stealing their husband's hat and shipping it to me. He'll be coming, where's my straw hat? What happened to it? It disappeared. It's funny how that works. It was set in here, but it's in the mailbox somehow.
Oh, that's funny. All right, well, you got anything else to say?
We're at an hour.
You have some really yummy snacks that you share sometimes.
I
You
do.
wanna, like,
I do. Yeah, we gotta end with that. So before I get to this, I do want to give a shout out real quick to Kimes Ranch. We got the nice Kimes Ranch jeans.
you're wearing a shirt.
I'm wearing a jeans. I'll show my butt off to the camera.
There you go. That's
I'm not gonna give him too much. But I had asked you about that. Like, hey, is it okay if I mention the sponsors? And my sponsors have been so awesome to me. And people don't realize that, you know, it's a great relationship when you find companies that you believe in and they have a good product.
Mhm.
Those are the type of companies that I like to work with. So if I promote something, I'm not just blowing smoke.
Yeah.
I'm not promoting something because, oh, like, well, they're just paying him. No. Are they paying me? Yes. But did I
Yeah.
agree to that contract because I buy into what they're selling? Yes.
Mhm.
You know, I've had lots of companies that have reached out to me about sponsorship that I've turned down because I say, you know what? I'd rather do more for less companies than just have a whole pile of companies throwing money at me. Hey, promote us, promote us.
Right, yeah.
I like to just I find what works. I've got a few sponsors that I work with, and you know, it's been a great relationship. So, Kimes Ranch, they're based out of Arizona. If you're looking for high quality Western wear, check out kimesranch.com. If you ever see me wearing jeans, they're Kimes Ranch jeans. They're the only jeans I wear. They're the official jeans of me. That's
Yeah.
all I wear. They've been my title sponsor for quite a few years. And
Yeah.
what you mentioned about the Young Snacks is another one of my sponsors, the Wag Bar. They're a fairly new company. And I'm really excited to be working with them because it fits perfectly with what I do. My demographic of fans is the demographic of people they're trying to reach.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what this is, people all the time are like, "Oh, hey, let me try that jerky that you always talk about." Well, you both tried it earlier, and
Oh,
what was
yeah.
the first thing you said when you bit into it?
It's so soft.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Yeah.
not like
It's not.
chewy like jerky.
No, it's not jerky, and that's why I try and explain to everybody that this is not jerky. So what the wag bar is, it's literally like a steak that you can put in your pocket. It's a hunk of American Wagyu beef.
Yeah.
Now, I'm cheap. I had never had Wagyu until
Yeah.
they reached out to me. When they reached out to me about sponsorship, I'm like, I've never had Wagyu. And so they told me all about their company and they sent me some samples. And so for those of you that aren't familiar with what it is, this is American Wagyu. So this isn't shipped from Japan. If you want to support another American-based company, the
Mhm.
Wagbar is that. They raise the cattle right here in the United States. And American Wagyu is like a cross between Wagyu is a breed.
Yeah.
Like cross them with with Angus, and you have an American Wagyu.
Mm.
But like I said, it's not a hunk of jerky.
Mhm.
This is really soft, really tender. And
Yeah.
they've got 4 different flavors. My absolute favorite is a teriyaki. It's what I eat all the time. It's a perfect snack when you're on the road. There's 15 grams of protein in this.
Yeah, they're totally
Wow.
impressed with that. That's crazy. And it has, what was it, 3 grams of carbs, 3 carbs?
Yeah, there's only or
That's
the
like, for people that are on like keto or,
yeah.
a diet like that, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's a great snack to just stick in your pocket. But like I said about the demographic they're trying to reach are the people that are on the road or are working or out in the
Right.
field. If you're a farmer and you're out there, you don't have time to go in for a
Mhm.
sandwich all the time.
Yeah.
But you can have, I mean, it's like having a steak that
Right?
you can have right in your pocket. So yeah, I keep these in the rodeo wagon when I'm driving around. I've got them right there in the minivan. They're a nice snack, and they also just came out with brand new Wag Bites that are little chunks.
No, those are my favorite. I
Yeah,
love those.
so
Yeah.
and it sounds weird when you tell people that. Jalapeno cranberry. It sounds crazy.
Yeah, and it's like a sweet, spicy. It's really good.
And I'll be honest, I don't like spicy stuff.
Mhm.
So when they contacted me and I was trying these like hot and spicy, I'm like, yep, I'm out. And even the peppered, I was like, yeah, not my thing. And then I tried the original, I'm like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. This is good. And then I tried the teriyaki, I'm like, sign me up. I could eat a whole box of these.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
so delicious because I'm not into spicy stuff.
Mhm.
But these are so sweet. So when they told me about these brand new jalapeno cranberry bites, I'm like, all right, well, send them to me. And I'm thinking, I'm not gonna like these.
Yeah.
I pounded a whole bag because it's like you said, it's sweet. And
It
the jalapeno is just a little zing at the end.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not like, you
No.
have to catch your breath spicy. It's like, yeah, it just has that nice spice to it.
Yeah, and it has that sweetness of like there's hunks of cranberry in it. So you're eating this, it's like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then you eat the whole bag, and then you're like, okay, there's a little zing on my tongue there, but I can eat
Yeah.
another bag, I think. Yeah, when you're hunting, you got that time, so you can,
Yeah.
for all your hunters out there, you can just do the
The
Got about
challenge.
3 hours
Yeah.
going up before the big buck comes along.
Squirrel, you're like, oh no.
And I just lost my lag bar. It's still good.
It's a little bit weird when you pick it up.
Let me see it. Let me see it.
I can touch my mouse.
It's all right. That's
Oh, I'll eat it. It's on the floor.
good stuff.
Not
Even, even off the floor.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, it's like a hunk of steak right there. That's not garbage.
Yeah, Wagyu
nice and pink. It's not like the black chewy
Wagyu
stuff.
steak is we've never bought it, but we have rich friends, and so we've had it.
Friends.
And
We did
it's
a
amazing.
restaurant one time. I remember. It was the most expensive bill we've ever had at a
I
restaurant.
don't remember. I should remember.
You took your sister out for her birthday. But it's really good. Like, it's juicy and it has an amazing flavor.
Mhm.
Like that doesn't even taste like dirt off the floor at all.
Not at all.
It's so good. I don't even taste them. I didn't get any like crunchy pieces or anything. I thought maybe I'd get a stone or something.
I swept the floor.
Oh man.
The only thing that would be on here would be a dead ant.
Oh, well,
We're in here.
that's even more protein. Now I've got 16 grams of protein.
Well,
To be honest, I just wanted to eat one. That's why I really do it. I mean, I think that's pretty quiet.
The next 10 minutes, it's just going to be us sitting here.
So you're eating, yeah. Like I thought they were wrapping it up. Well, they got some wag bars out.
We unwrapped it.
Yeah, but thanks for letting me plug my sponsors. Like I said, they're really good to me, so I try and do my best to plug them. The only other one that I want to mention, I forgot I wanted to grab something with their logo on it, but if you have horses Equally, they're another one of my major sponsors. They
Okay.
make supplements for horses.
Okay.
They're based out of New Holland, Pennsylvania, which is as Amish country as it gets.
Yeah.
And actually, a lot of their customers are Amish.
Mhm.
And they have a sister company called Homestead Nutrition, which is where they started, and they make supplements for dairy mixes, protein mixes for cattle.
Mhm.
But then Equally was kind of like another company that branched off of there, and they reached out to me several years ago about sponsorship. And just like with my other sponsors, well, I'm not going to promote a product unless we use it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we started using the products on our horses, and it didn't take long to see a difference. And I'm like, you know what? Well, this is good stuff. So if you do have horses, Equally is the name of the company, and they make all
Can you
kinds of
say that again?
Equalite. So like
Elite.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, EQUILETE,
Okay.
Equalite, or think
Okay.
like equine.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I was wondering if it's
Mhm.
I
that.
think we
then-
used to use their product. I remember the name.
Yeah, if you think of equine, so it'd be like EQUI-LETE, Equalite. But yeah, they've got so the product that we use the most that we love is called Super E oil. It's a oil that you can literally just dump right on your grain. So I mean, you used to have horses,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and like you don't want to always just change your horse's diet overnight like that. I mean,
Yeah.
horses will colic if the wind changes direction. So you don't
Right.
want to just make a drastic change. Well, with their
Yeah.
supplements, you don't have to change your feeding program. Whatever grain you're already feeding, you can just add to it. So it's not like a shock to their system. And that's what we really like about their products is they really make something for everyone. If you've got horses, whatever grain you're feeding them, whatever you have them on, you can add their supplements too. And we love that super E oil because it comes in a big jug with a pump on it. You can just pump that oil right onto their grain,
There you
and
Yeah.
it shines up their coat. It like so what Equally focuses on is a healthy horse from the inside out. There's some
Okay.
companies where oh, we want these horses to look nice. Well, you're not just trying to put show sheen on and
Right.
make
go.
Yeah.
them.
Right.
If a horse is healthy from the inside, you'll know it. You'll see it on the
Mhm.
outside. So yeah, so I just wanted to mention them. I appreciate you letting me plug my
Yeah.
sponsors, but
Absolutely.
Kimes Ranch, the Wag Bar, and Equally, check them out.
Yeah. Do you want to mention the code? They're like a coupon
Oh
code.
yeah, yeah.
Use.
So I do have a code for the Wag Bar. If you're interested in trying these, people do ask all the time, like, "Oh, where can we get those?" The only place right now you can buy them, if you have any Love's gas stations near you, any of the Love's truck stops,
Yeah.
right up at the counter, you can get the original and the peppered. They just got a deal with Love's, so that's kind of a big deal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you can get them online and you can get them cheaper because I have a personal discount code. It doesn't benefit me. I don't get kickbacks from that. It just saves you money. So if you're interested in trying these, just go to thewagbar.com, and when you check out, enter Showtime 15, SHOWTIME 15. No dashes, no spaces, Showtime 15. Jacob has a discount code too.
Oh, really?
So his is just Jacob 15. So you want to use the Jacob discount code,
Yeah.
JACOB 15 when you check out. So, like I said, it doesn't benefit me, but it'll save some money for you, and you get some good snacks.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for coming out and sitting down with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was my
Yeah.
pleasure. Thanks for having me, and hopefully there's at least somebody watching. I know I ran my mouth for an hour, like this guy, shut up.
That's what we're here for, to listen. Yeah, I'd say definitely if you have not seen Jacob Dan's or any of his funny stuff, definitely check him out on TikTok or Facebook. If you just go on Facebook and search "Don't Tell the Bishop," it'll come up. Or you're out in the store somewhere and take your phone and you can speak it in it. Don't tell the bishop, and then look around, see if he's looking. But yeah, go check him out. And laughter's good medicine, right?
It is. It is.
And during the last few years, that's what we needed a lot too, was just laughter and just have a good time and have fun. So, yeah. Hey, I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Thank you so
You bet.
much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank y'all for watching.
Yep.
Bye bye.
See ya.